Joining us now is Knesset member Sharren Haskel. Shalom.
Hello, good afternoon.
We're seeing the reports about the participation of Unra workers in the October 7th massacre, and you've been talking about this issue. You established a lobby in the Knesset in 2015, but tell me, were you surprised by how much they were part of this massacre?
Not at all, to be frank. For years and years now, there's been a mountain of evidence that shows the ties between Unra and Hamas. Matter of fact, Hamas has actually taken over the human resources of Unra in Gaza. More than 10,000 workers, almost 13,000 workers, are either Hamas activists or family members of Hamas activists. It means that the entire force that is located in Gaza, a United Nations force that's there for education, to run logistic of humanitarian aid, and much more than that, is actually, in fact, Hamas. Now, so those facts didn't surprise me at all. I'm really glad that it comes to the awareness. I've been going around the world on different delegations to wear this awareness. Just about a month ago, I was at the European Union in Brussels, briefing a room full of parliament members and journalists about UNRWA and its activity, on how it's actually perpetuating the conflict between Israelis and Palestinians, but also how it's radicalizing the younger generation of Gazans and Palestinians in general. UNRWA is educating an entire generation to martyrdom, to radical Islam, to war. That's what they're doing. They've been preparing the ground for the 7th of October massacre. And so when you're looking on this organization and how it's been run for the past 70 years, you understand that UNRWA is not part of the solution, but it's actually part of the problem. And as long as it exists...
In addition to the fact that they are part of Hamas, you are also emphasizing the fact that their existence is basically to keep on the hope of annihilating Israel, to keep on to that whole concept of being refugees.
Absolutely. The core of the idea of UNRWA is in this idea of the right of return. What does it mean, the right of return? This is 4th, 5th generation of Gazan citizens who never saw the 48 conflict, who have been raised and born for generations in Gaza, in Ramallah, in East Jerusalem, and in Jenin and in Shechem. And they're holding this idea of the right of return, that one day in an armed conflict, they will evacuate and murder the entire population of Jews, and they will return to their ancestors and great-grandparents' locations all around the world. This is perpetuating the conflict. They're teaching them that in schools. And, it comes to the point where math questions are about it, on the amount of murders and terrorists at the Second Intifada, and different questions like that in those textbooks. So you understand, it is the core of the problem. And as long as they exist, there won't be a different future, not for Israelis and not for Palestinians.
Now we're seeing states around the world slowly, one after another, understanding the truth after we saw the reports. But you're saying it's not enough.
No, look, I'm really excited about it, because since 2015, I've been working on changing that reality. And matter of fact, hearing the countries taking that blindfold, and they knew there's been mounting evidence that's been sent to the United Nations, to the donating countries, and they turned a blind eye. So after the 7th of October, when we understand that turning a blind eye cost the lives of so many people, I'm really glad that they're actually acting by it and are holding back these funds. But I won't celebrate it yet. My job now and my mission now is to make sure that what is temporary becomes permanent. And holding that for a few months is not enough. They have to hold it back for good and make sure that we close UNRWA completely, forever. They can't be another result. If we want a better future for Israelis and Palestinians, we have to shut down UNRWA. So I'm going to head next week to Hague, where they've been holding also millions of dollars that they're donating every year, to brief parliament members and to ask them to make the temporary permanent, to make sure that they support Geert Wilder in his attempt to stop funding of UNRWA. Then I'm going to head to Germany, to Berlin as well, to speak to parliament members there as well, to make sure that there is a group of parliamentarians to make sure that they do not support a terrorist organization like Hamas. UNRWA has become a long arm, a civilian arm of Hamas in Gaza, and we have to make sure that these funds don't reach Hamas. With joint forces with many organizations that have been working on this for a long time, like UN Watch and Einat Wilf and many research centers like the David Badin Center, we are working together and collaborating to expose UNRWA and to take that blindfold off.
And this brings us to the issue of the humanitarian aid. As long as Israel's bringing it in through UNRWA, we don't even know who it's getting to, probably to the Hamas.
We know who's getting it, and Hamas are the one who are getting it. And think about it this way: the managers of the refugee camps, the manager is an UNRWA person, but in fact it's a Hamas activist. The logistics center of UNRWA in Gaza is probably managed also by a Hamas activist, but he is called an UNRWA employee. Hamas is taking over all the humanitarian aid. They are selling it in the streets to Palestinians. What is meant to be distributed for free, like a bag of flour, is costing 200 shekels to Palestinians. They are meant to get it for free. An Emirati tent costs 2,000 shekels. A Qatari tent costs almost 3,000 shekels. So all of this aid that they actually donated for Palestinians who are in a humanitarian crisis are being sold in the streets by Hamas. And I'm sure you can imagine what Hamas is doing with all of this money that they're actually pocketing.
Knesset member Sharren Haskel, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Yoni.